Now, China is Brazil's largest trading partner overall, with two-way commerce exceeding $160 billion last year alone. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of China-Brazil relations?
Well, China and Brazil have been very good on terms since they established the relationship many years ago. You know, China now has almost 150 countries with different partnerships, and Brazil was the first one to have this kind of strategic partnership with China. So from this, you can understand both sides have been trying to make more efforts to promote their bilateral relationship, and both sides look at each other in a very strategic way. In the near future, I believe that China and Brazil can cooperate in many ways. And politically speaking, as you know, both nations need to cooperate to promote global governance. And economically speaking, well, they can make investments, trade, and as you know, China's economy is developing quite rapidly, but China needs to import raw materials from Brazil. And China at the same time can make more investment. And many of the Chinese projects have greatly contributed to the economic growth in Brazil.
And it's been a successful meeting. I mean, these leaders have signed nearly 40 cooperation agreements to strengthen ties between the two economies, with more than 150 billion of bilateral trade. Can you tell us a bit more detail about these agreements and what it means for trade in the years to come?
Well, these agreements, I think, cover lots of areas, high in the sky, on the road, and deep in the sea. You know, both sides have strategic partnership. That means cooperation can cover as many areas as possible. Okay, so this kind of cooperation has been on a win-win terms. It means it benefits both sides. So I believe that in the near future, this kind of relationship will continue to move forward.
Now, China has been an increasingly important trade partner and investor in Latin America overall, but observers expect the US government under Trump to put up trade and migration barriers. How might it affect the region and China's role in Latin America?
You know, the US is quite concerned about China's relationship with Latin America, but as a matter of fact, China's trade and investment with countries in Latin America can benefit the economy of Latin America. So my conclusion, a more prosperous Latin America is good for the US. Okay, as you mentioned, a more prosperous Latin America will have less illegal migration, will have less illegal drug trafficking. So that's good for the US. So I hope that the US should be grateful to China for what China has been doing in Latin America. And in the near future, I hope that China and the US can cooperate in Latin America, how to promote the economy of Latin America in a joint way.
Speaking of China and the US, how do you put Brazil's position between the two countries? I mean, Lula is trying to carve out a distinctive role for Brazil in global geopolitics by maintaining ties with both Washington and building a relationship with China as well as Russia. Can you talk about how Brazil is positioning itself at the moment?
Well, first of all, I want to say that China never interferes in the domestic affairs of any other countries. Secondly, I want to point out that China never asks any country to take sides between the competition, between the US and China, who are in a fierce competition. And finally, I want to say that China and Brazil can do something to protect the world peace. You know, several months ago, the two sides published a joint declaration about the so-called Ukrainian war, and China and Brazil believe that only through peaceful negotiation can this kind of conflict between Ukraine and Russia be resolved in a peaceful way. let's hope that this kind of consensus will be realized.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Jiang Shixue, really appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.